It started like any ordinary afternoon. Beverly Hills was buzzing with its usual blend of luxury, tourists, and fast-moving traffic. The sun bounced off polished shop windows, exotic cars lined the sidewalks, and people moved in and out of designer stores like it was just another Tuesday. But what happened on Ashton Drive that day would leave people talking for weeks, and would eventually cost a high-ranking police chief his job. Jason Statham had just finished a meeting at a high-end watch boutique. Dressed in a sharp charcoal suit with a subtle navy tie, sunglasses resting firmly on his face, and that signature calm, controlled demeanor, he looked every bit the international movie star, and yet, completely unbothered by the attention he quietly commanded. He slid into his car, a sleek, custom gray Audi R8 with blood-red interior. It purred like a beast with a heartbeat. Not rented. Not borrowed. His. Every inch of it was tailored to his taste, down to the engraved initials in the leather. But just as he began to pull out from the curb, a pair of flashing red and blue lights lit up in his rearview mirror. A police cruiser swerved slightly in front of his car, forcing him to stop. Jason arched an eyebrow behind his sunglasses, puzzled more than alarmed. Before he could even turn the engine off, two officers were approaching, hands already on their holsters, expressions unreadable behind their aviators. One of them, a broad-shouldered officer with a buzz cut, stepped forward and barked, "Step out of the vehicle." Now. Jason remained seated, calm. He lowered the window. "Is there a problem, officer?" he asked, his voice measured. The officer gestured to the car. "We received a report of a suspicious individual attempting to steal this vehicle. We're gonna need to see some ID and registration." Jason tilted his head. "Suspicious individual? I just got in my car. It's mine." The second officer stepped in, hand now on the door. "Sir, step out. Now. This isn't yours." A crowd had started to gather. Phones were already out. People were murmuring, recognizing him. But the officers either hadn't noticed, or didn't care. Jason slowly opened the door and stepped out, standing tall and composed, towering just enough to make the officers hesitate. Still, they pressed on. "ID," one demanded. Jason handed it over without a word. The officer looked at the license, then back at him. His eyebrows twitched. The other officer was on the radio, running the plates. Jason leaned casually against his car, arms crossed. He wasn't angry, yet, but the tension in the air was starting to thicken. "You're Jason Statham?" one finally asked, a hint of disbelief in his tone. "Last I checked," Jason replied coolly. The officer stared down at the ID again, as if trying to find something wrong. Behind them, a man from the crowd called out, "Yo! That's literally Jason Statham. What are you guys doing?" Another voice chimed in, "He owns that car. He's driven it in movies." The officers looked at each other, suddenly aware of the murmurs, the cameras, the weight of public scrutiny pressing in on them. But instead of backing down, the officer doubled down. "Sir, we have procedures. You matched the description we were given. We need to make sure this isn't a stolen vehicle." Jason's jaw tightened. "Do I look like I need to steal a car?" The silence after that hung thick. Moments later, dispatch confirmed what Jason had already said: the car was registered to him. The officers exchanged a glance that reeked of panic. But Jason wasn't letting it go that easily. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply said, "I want your badge numbers." The officers, now visibly nervous, hesitated. "I said, badge numbers. Both of you." The growing crowd began to cheer, some even chanting his name. This wasn't just a mistake anymore. This was a public embarrassment, and it was going viral, fast. Jason got back in his car, closed the door, and pulled away slowly, not in anger, but with a cool, deliberate sense of control. But the story didn't end there. Within 48 hours, the video had exploded across social media. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. News outlets picked it up. Every headline echoed the same disbelief: Jason Statham accused of stealing his own car? The pressure mounted. The police department released a generic statement, "We're reviewing the incident." But the public wasn't buying it. What no one knew was that behind the scenes, Jason had made a call. Not to a lawyer. Not to a manager. But to someone higher. A quiet conversation that carried serious weight. By the end of the week, it was announced that one of the officers had been suspended. The other? Reassigned pending investigation. And the police chief, who had already been under fire for several other questionable incidents, was forced to resign. The department called it an unrelated personnel decision. But everyone knew the truth. This wasn't just about mistaken identity. It was about something much bigger. A moment that exposed a deeper issue: how quickly someone, even a global celebrity, could be misjudged. Jason never posted about it. Never gave an interview. He didn't need to. The video said everything. And for those officers, the day they pulled over Jason Statham will be one they never forget. Because that's the day their careers began to crumble, not with violence, not with scandal, but with one calm man, one expensive car, and the entire world watching.